We are back. So now that we have the basic kind of molded outline of what kind of shape we're going to begin with to model our head, we should note that everything is still in quads. And now I'm just going to rough out some of the main geometry here, and I'm going to do that in my side view. And roughing out just means I'm going to move vertices. You can see that it's kind of interesting. I'm going to just turn on my wireframe here so we can see better what's going on. The edges here are already beginning to follow a nice topology of our head, so I'm going to use this kind of nice 45-degree angle here to map out where the skull attaches to our neck. And otherwise I'm going to lay everything out. This line here that's kind of swooping down will be our kind of jaw line, and then we'll add some more detail or edge loops in the neck eventually. So let's go back, right mouse, and I'm just going to go into vertex mode, and if I drag and select or marquee select in an orthographic view, what's going to happen is that it's going to select all of the vertices behind the object. And this is what we always have to be aware of, that if I drag and select, it's selecting all the vertices on both sides of our object there. So we can see that I've got it highlighted here. So just be aware of that. And this is, I like to work like this because I know it's going to work. So I'm just going to start moving, dragging and selecting some of these vertices to shape my head. And I'll try and do this a little bit quickly. Let's move this up a bit. Now here we get some dramatic kind of changes in our head. And you'll notice that I'm not dragging these around. I could, but I'm just like to stay in the practice of just moving in X and Z so I don't accidentally move. If I go into an a perspective view, I might accidentally move something around. Now I'm just moving these. As I said, I would only move in X and Z, but Y and Z in this case. And right away you can see, if we look at kind of topology of how human faces are modeled, you can see I'm already starting to get some of that topology happening. I'm always keeping edge flow in mind, so I'm going to be working at, if for instance here, I move this edge back, this edge was forward, I want to move it back so that my flow is flowing a little bit naturally. It's not going to be totally natural, but it's okay there. This is interesting. I can bring this up, kind of match my nose. I think I'll just bring that back just a bit there. Always keeping in mind topology and edge flow. Okay, so this is getting close. I can move this in, and I'm just going to move these back just a bit. I mean, another thing I could do is select that whole bottom edge and scale that down, and then move the entire edge back to match. Bottom of that neck kind of joins right there. Your jaw connects just under that ear. Now I don't have to worry too much about my ear for topology, just as long as I have some kind of edge laid out here, or surface here, which I'll use to extrude an ear later and then model it in Mudbox. This edge here, I think I'm going to take right up to be where my brow is. Oh, you can see I just clicked once instead of dragging, and I only selected one of the vertices. I need to marquee select to make sure everything is selected nicely. I'll add more loops here to get a better detail. I'm going to worry about topology first and get this edge flow happening better. Okay, not too bad. Actually, I'm going to take this out just a bit here. I want to make sure I get this connection of my jaw behind my ear properly. So from the side view, that's looking pretty decent. I think I'll take some of these edges back a bit. And in my front view, I'm going to continue with that. But that just involves moving vertices back in. And one thing I can do is go into my tool setting, and it's probably a good time to do that. You can see what's nice about having this X-ray view is that I get a better 3D sense or depth sense of where vertices behind the head, in front of the head are happening, rather than just being in wireframe mode where it gets a little kind of crazy. So what I'm going to do is move some of these vertices around in my tool setting. I'm going to double click my selection tool here to get in the tool setting. What I want to do is turn on symmetry. You can see right here, symmetry settings for modeling, for selecting, are always below. Just always, if you get lost, just look for this color ramp for the soft select. So I'm going to turn symmetry on, and I'm going to just turn on the object symmetry. By default, it's the x-axis, and that should work fine. So when I just click on one, you can see it's highlighted in the other. If I drag and select, it selects it in the opposite axis. And I can do in the reverse mode as well, so that if I select the left side, it goes to the right. What's nice too is we know that we're in symmetry mode. When I mouse over in component mode, it will be blue. So whether it's an edge or a face or a vertex, in this case, it will be highlighted in blue. So I'm just going to start moving points around, and you'll probably notice in your own head that we're not machines, we're not completely symmetrical. So you can see that I'll have ears that are higher on one side than the other, and so these edge loops might not make sense yet, and my head is wider on one side than the other, so we'll have to look at turning symmetry off at one point to get a better sense of our head. I haven't modeled anything other than moving vertices into place to match the head better. Just be careful if you're going to scale anything. So for instance, if I go back and scale, you might think it's easier to scale. I drag and select. Remember that it's selected everything. So if I scale that down and up, if I look in my side view, you can see orthographically I've knocked this back off. So scale's not really a good option just yet. So when we come back, I'll have vertices in place, but that's all I have done. So just be aware that all I'm doing right now is moving vertices to match the shape of my face.